Hey everybody, Nicole here with the Gadget Repair Expo. I have a technical problem with Twitter again. Twitter always gives me an issue. Hopefully we are live on Twitter right now. So I'm super excited for this call. We're just a few weeks away from the Gadget Repair Expo. If you're going, I can't wait to see you there. If you're on the fence, you need to get off of the fence and actually get your ticket and get ready to plan your travel to be at this expo. It's going to be awesome. Today, we're going to talk with our guest here, but then also, I'm going to go over the most recent schedule. So we're about to load up a new schedule, but I have it. It's not even loaded online yet. And we have some really awesome things that are added. This show is jam-packed. Let me tell you, this is a full 2-day event. Okay, so remember, one day is like 9 to 6 with the cocktail party at the end. And day 2 is like 9 to 2. Okay, so this is 2 days because this is jam-packed. You will not want to miss the things that are going on at this expo. Okay. So before we get started, let's go around the room and talk about who's who. I am Nicole. I own Cellbotics, which is a training center that helps people properly enter the industry. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel or anywhere and you are interested in getting into the cell phone repair industry, check out cellbotics.com or reach out to me personally. I also sit on the board for Repairs First Association, which is the Repair Industries Association. If you own a shop, be mobile, you have multiple locations, 100 locations, one location, this association has something for you, be it discounts, training, free tickets to GRE, and so much more. If you are on the fence about RFA or you've never heard about it, I would love to talk to you about it, so feel free to reach out to me. And then also, I'm on the board for the Gadget Repair Expo. So I'm so excited about this expo. It's coming up soon, but let's go ahead and go around the room. I'm going to go to Tony first. If you don't know who Tony is for some reason, he's live all the time. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, Nicole, how you doing? Thank you for having me. My name is Tony Baker. I am the founder and co-owner of GSM Warehouse. We are a distribution warehouse that supplies secondhand devices to cell phone repair shops and wholesalers in and outside the U.S. I'm also a part owner or co-owner of a franchise cell phone repair shops of 14 locations called Cellfix, mainly in Central Florida. We've been in the industry in the retail business for about 15 years and in the wholesale business for about 13 years. As you guys probably met me in some of these expos, I am also a speaker at some of these expos. It was, of course, it's an honor to be one of the first partners with Gadgets Repair Expo. It started in Atlanta back in 2022, I think. And here we are again. We are meeting in Miami, Florida. Make sure if you want to stock up on your devices to visit gsmwarehouse.com as we have a full lineup of all iPhone models with the longest warranty in this industry of 90-day warranty. gsmwarehouse.com and Tony Baker on social media. I guess we go to right there.
Okay, right, yeah. Yes, Joe, go ahead. It's your turn.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Doobie from B-Stock. Happy to be here and joining you all, and looking forward to seeing everyone down in Miami in a couple of weeks. I'll be speaking about B-Stock and sourcing opportunities. So B-Stock, I've been at the company for about 7 years. I actually got to know B-Stock first as a client of B-Stock. So I've been in the mobile secondary market dating back to 2012. I was working for Gazelle, one of the first online trade-in platforms. So we would be purchasing devices back from consumers, and we had multiple sales channels where we were disposing of those devices. One of those channels was B-Stock. So I got to know the team and the platform here before coming on board about 7 years ago. So we run marketplaces for enterprises to liquidate inventory through. So if you think about our largest clients are AT&T, T-Mobile, Bell up in Canada. We run a marketplace for Samsung. So we're giving access to buyers directly from the carrier auctions. So I'm excited to talk through that process of becoming registered on the B-Stock platform and showing you guys all of the inventory that's available each week directly from the carriers and OEMs. We run auctions almost every day. They're on a fixed schedule, so I'll be going through some of the details during my time at GRE about how best to source that inventory, and then I'll go through some trends that we're seeing in the overall secondary market. So excited to keep the conversation going and meet everyone in person down in Miami.
Awesome. I cannot wait. It's going to be a great show. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Sean. It's your turn.
Hey, everybody. Sean Davis with Lux Wireless. I'm the founder of the company, very much involved with the day-to-day. Awesome. The bread and butter of our company is wholesale and distribution of both previously loved devices as well as accessories. But we've also become much more consultative with our dealers as the wireless industry has continuously morphed and changed, and the repair side of it's getting more and more technical every day. So we've introduced more products for our clients based on requests. To boil it all down, it all revolves around security in some way, shape, or form. We're now, in addition to the devices and accessories, offering cybersecurity as a tool that the repair stores can resell. We have insurance offerings, and just working with multitudes of different companies where if a need arises, we can find the right partner to get them together. My wife, who's not here right now, has been a big believer and really set the mindset throughout our company that competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top.
Yeah.
And so we've really learned the value of collaboration. And you look at some of these spaces here, and you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, there's all competitors." Not really. I think we've all probably worked in a similar space, and given the opportunity, I can speak. Tony and I for sure have worked together on some projects, but I think given the opportunity, any of us will do whatever it takes to make sure that the store owners are taken care of. And super glad to be part of GRE. I don't think I made the first one, but I think we were a very early adopter of being an exhibitor. The partnerships, the relationships, meeting people face to face. I can't say enough about it. And really well organized show, and can't wait to get down there and see everybody and rekindle old connections and make some new connections.
Thank you. That is awesome. Yes, I'm so excited, and I'm tell your wife I'm stealing her saying, or if that was your saying, and you're just, I don't know whose saying it is, but I'm stealing it.
Okay.
His boss, Nicole, not his wife, his boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's you.
The right words. I got to use the right words. Okay. I just want to remind everybody before we go to Jonathan that there is a code on the screen. So if you're just listening to this, you're not really watching it, get this code. It's GRE50_off for $50 off your ticket. It is gadgetrepairexpo.com. We have the schedule up. Again, I'm about to go over the newest schedule and just touch on some parts going on at the show. So, all right, Jonathan, go ahead. And you have a special announcement of what you're going to be doing at the show. So we want to definitely bring that up a couple of times while we're live. So go ahead. Who are you?
For sure. So my name's Jonathan Strange. I guess I'm the only independent repair shop owner here today. Mm-hmm. I run a repair shop in Montgomery, Alabama. We are a fix, sell, buy repair shop. We also offer mail-in repair services. And I actually attended the first Gadget Repair Expo, and since then I've thought it's one of the best, if not the best, repair expo in our industry, especially in North America. So this year I'm pretty excited to be actually doing a live podcast at the show. We're going to have guests as well as some of the vendors come on and share some of their stories about how they can help you at your repair shop, as well as me kind of collaborate with you guys on different ways that you can make your repair shop better in 2025.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you do this. So you'll be a speaker, but you're also going to have openings for different sessions throughout the day to do podcast recordings. So if you're listening and you're a vendor or even a shop owner and you want to have the chance to see if Jonathan can get with you and do an interview for the podcast, we're going to have soon an entry form on the website where you can just enter there, and then he's going to be scheduling out his day, which I'm sure it will fill up quickly. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely, Tony's like me. I already had an interview, but I still want a spot at the expo. It was a great interview. Jonathan is someone that is really nice to talk to, because I like people that are like thought provoking and that you can have conversation with. Even if you agree, don't agree, you can still conversate. It's great. So I suggest, if you've never been on a podcast and you want to, spread information to the wireless and part industry about who you are and what you do, definitely talk to Jonathan, because he's got a great show building up, and he definitely is there to help the shops and knows how to reach the shops. So keep an eye out for that. Again, if you are watching, get your ticket discount code. Okay, please don't forget that. It is GRE50_off. The show is just 3 weeks away, 2 days away. It'll feel like that. You're coming pretty soon. All right. So real quickly, before we get to some tips for some cell phone shops. All right. So we're going to talk about some tips for some shops, but I want to go over some changes to the schedule because we've added some items. So this schedule is online, but it's constantly updating. So we do have on the schedule, please go and download this the day of. So we keep re-uploading the newest version every time we have something change. So you'll see down at the very bottom, there's 3 new names. If you've seen the schedule already, we've added 3 new speakers. And these speakers are kind of new to our industry, actually, totally brand new to our industry. And here at GRE, one of our goals is to, of course, bring all the knowledge from our industry into the expo, but also things from outside the industry that might help our business owners. And so these 3 speakers are actually from outside of what you would consider our industry. And they're talking around about different topics, some AI, some how to do webinars a little bit better. If you're someone that has multiple locations and you're doing Zoom calls with your teams across different locations, you don't want to miss this. I got a demo of this guy. He went through Zoom with me and taught me all of these things about it. I was blown away by what I learned. So you won't want to miss this. And maybe you are a wholesaler and you want to go live more. You want to reach the community more and you're just afraid and you don't know what tools to use. Do not miss this session. So these are 3 new speakers added at the end. And then also Jeremy Kwiatkowski was added to the beginning. He's going to do an opening speech just about the industry. And he wants to touch on tech, Tesla, robots, the future of repair. So he's got some great information he's going to be giving out. So make sure you get to the show on time so you don't miss any of these sessions. Of course, we've got our demo schedule, which hasn't changed since the last schedule, but we do have exclusive trainings that are going to be done on day 2 that are not on day 1. So this is really important. I know that some people have the bad habit of only going to an expo for day 1. And we want to let you know that this expo is so jam-packed. We can't just pack everything on day 1. You've got to stay for day 2. So the CGC competition is bringing in judges from all over the world. And those judges are going to be giving training demos and speaking sessions, but only on day 2. Also on day 2 exclusively is the e-bike demo, and it's going to be running 2 times that day because we know that's a hot ticket item. Christian from Tech Bench, my Tech Bench, is going to be not only showing a demo, but he's going to be breaking down how he got contracts with large companies that leave these e-bikes out for people to rent. Okay, so this is a big additional income revenue stream that you can add to your shop, especially if you're in a big city or a city that has these. If you see people riding these e-bikes around, you need to be at this session. So he's going to show you how to fix them, but he's also going to talk about how he went about getting those contracts. We've got B-Stock on day 2, also giving an hour session. And so that's kind of the new additions to the schedule. So do not forget to sign up to compete. Right? I mean, you've got to compete. Do not forget to do that. And then we've got a map and everything. So I just wanted to share that So then give a little bit of information for people out there that are interested in the schedule. So there is one thing that I like to go around on these lives and ask for one tip for current business owners in this market. So my person that's first next to me is Tony. Tony, I want a tip from you, but I know that this is like a touchy topic and I'm not trying to get political, so let's please not do that. But is tariffs, I mean, really, are they having an effect currently on your business as a vendor? And how is that trickling down? How are you handling it? What's your response from your customers? What do you kind of foresee for the future of that? Or do we not know anything,
Well, absolutely. So fear. And that's what happens. Now, luckily for us, the tariffs does not cover the electronics or devices or anything of that nature. So we are in the safe side. Unfortunately, when there is worry and there's fear, people seems to hold on to their cash. We probably have seen the worst since the beginning of our company in the past maybe 30 days, whether the end of March and the beginning of April, we have seen the worst. Pretty much people are holding off to everything, worry what's going to happen next. Now, and since the last news, which was about 4 days ago, the release of the devices, electronics were not going to be part of the tariffs war. It kind of eased up a little bit. Store owners are purchasing, wholesalers are purchasing, and volume are coming back into the market. Unfortunately, damage or part of the damage had already been done due to the hold off that I would say probably around 30 days of people holding off of buying. So we are seeing the increase of specific models and the decrease of other models that were probably had a lot in the industry. So, and the other issue that we're having is the demand on, or the amount of devices that's in the market are not fulfilling the needs that people are interested in buying. So there's a shortage in a specific models, and there's a so we're kind of playing it very smart at the moment. And I placed
what's in demand that's in shortage? I'm just curious. Like, do you have that off the top of your head? You don't have to say anything if you don't, but
as far as,
like you said, there's a shortage of device models and stuff like that.
So for example, iPhone 14 Pro Max, there seems to be a company that pretty much bought every single model in the market, had paid up front a few $1 million. So for the past, I would say 5 weeks, there is no iPhone 14 Pro Maxes in the market. It's been dried out. The other issue that we're having is the iPhones are been very similar for the past, I would say 5-6 years. So the trade-ins are lower than what it used to be in the past. So which creates to the used phone market, it creates a shortage of buybacks from the trade-ins, because not a lot of people traded in. I'm still carrying a 14 Pro Max, you know what I mean? Or a 15 Pro Max. So not a lot of people are moving into the newer devices, which leaves a dry amount of 13 Pro Maxes, 12 Pro Maxes, 14 Pro Maxes in the market, because it seems to be the same exact phone. So the buyback volume right now is very low, which creates a lower quantity of used devices in the market. So that's a pretty, it's a pretty big deal. The tariffs did make, again, some worries to customers, which when people are holding off to their money, it just creates more raising in prices and lowering stock. So it really is the opposite of retail. A lot of people think when you're trying to buy more, you get better prices. It's actually the other way around. When you're buying more, you pay more in the wholesale world, versus a customer comes into Jonathan's store and he wants to buy 2 phones or 3 phones. You're giving him a 10% off or a break. In our world, if you want 10 phones, it's easy. If you want 300 phones, that's where it becomes you have to pay a higher amount to collect more devices.
Wow, very interesting, Tony. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot about that. I didn't actually prep you for that question. I did know about the tariffs, the recent change in them not being electronics, and I forgot to mention that. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So what is your tip for business owners in this current market? Buy. No. What is your tip?
Two things. One, marketing. I really cannot stress it enough on a store owner that's sitting behind their counter for 10 hours a day, not doing a single post on social media. Free platforms, and I'm talking about Facebook, OfferUp, whatever platforms that they allow you to post for free. Facebook groups. We have a Facebook group in our industry, right? And you see how powerful it is for people to collect information and stuff like that. There's groups like this in every single local city. So you can imagine how much a Facebook group in your local city can bring you customers. So marketing. And the second thing, buybacks. I mean, you will probably never hear that from another wholesaler. Buyback is your first priority from customers. That is the way you're going to make money. That is the way you're going to get rich. And that's the way you're going to make over 50% on profit on devices. Leave us as vendors as a second option or a last destination to fill up your showcases with all the models. But buybacks, and I've seen a lot of posts of people actually increase the buybacks in their stores. You got to understand people are going through tough times right now. So people are selling their devices, are selling their older devices. Take advantage of it. Even if you got to go through your piggy bank and collect, devices as much as you can, you're going to need those in the near future. And that's how you're able to, make good capital on selling devices back to customers.
That is a good tip. And you probably won't hear phone wholesalers say that. Right. But thank you. I mean, you're speaking from both sides because you have shops and you're a wholesaler. So we appreciate that transparency,
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Jonathan, we lost somebody. I think that maybe he had technical issues. He might be back on. So, all right, Jonathan, what is your tip for shop owners? You're like Tony, you're living in the retail world every day too, like much of the attendees and watchers. What is your tip? What are some things maybe that you're dealing with?
Before I give my tip, if I could say something about the tariffs.
Of course,
So,
go right ahead.
if you guys are interested, follow me on X. I keep up with anything related to our industry as much as possible. And one of my latest
put
posts.
your channel link in here or something, and I can share it.
Yeah,
or put it in
sure.
private chat.
Let's see.
Okay.
I guess I can comment.
I don't think you can comment on there. If you can, go ahead. If not, put it in the private chat, and I'll put it.
It won't let me, but once I get done with this, I'll post it so you guys can go to the exact link. Sunday, Howard Lutnick actually gave clarification on the Trump administration's perspective on what these tariff pauses are for the electronic industry, and they are just that. They're just pauses. He said some stuff that really blew my mind, which was that, everyone's been talking about semiconductors, but what Howard specifically said was chips, semiconductors, and flat panels. And what he meant by flat panels was LCDs and OLEDs. So it's very clear that the Trump administration wants to bring back, whether it's possible or not, their intention is to bring back at least OEM manufacturing for those three categories. So it's not just chips anymore, it's semiconductors. Wow. And matter of fact, there's a list of other things he's added: computer hardware, flash drives, hard drives. So it's just a pause. And within 90 days, we will see those tariffs actually come back. We just don't know what the percentage is yet. They've identified those particular electronic components as national security priorities, and they want them to be made in the U.S. So it's unclear until they say what the exact tariffs will be. He said within 2 months that they'll have a word on that, but it is just that, it's a pause. So buy
while there's a pause. No, just
yeah,
trying to help my wholesalers on here.
I think the good news is, I mean, it does suck probably for the wholesalers and like the people that are selling devices, but for repair shops specifically, I think it's probably one of the best things that could have happened for our industry, because at the end of the day, it's going to increase the price of devices. And so certain people that are only in that market may get hurt, but like the actual small independent repair shop, we're eventually not going to have to compete as much with cheap international labor, right? The reason repairs are so cheap, or our cap on what we can charge, is because we're competing with the customer having the option to just buy another cheap device. Right. And if that option becomes less and less and less, these more expensive repairs become more and more viable.
We did talk about that on the podcast I did with you. And, I do agree with you on that, especially when you start talking about landfills and electronics being looked at as disposable. So yeah, it's a double-sworded edge. What does that say? It was like double-sided, whatever. But I know that for some people, that wholesalers, this is not such a good thing, but yes, for the industry as a whole, and I think repair and devices going up in value may be a good thing. It's unrealistic price hold. We talked about that, Jonathan, that these phones, when you look at what goes in to make them, you know what I mean? They should be worth a little bit more.
Agreed. I shared both posts on my X account.
Okay.
Currently, the list is computers, smartphones, semiconductor manufacturing equipment, not just semiconductors, wireless routers, USB flash drives, memory chips and memory cards, semiconductors and chips, and then most recently, the one that was shocking to me, which is flat panel displays, which would include, our actual displays on a device. These have been prioritized as national security issues. The Trump administration does not want another war or COVID to happen where we can't get those parts here. So in my personal prediction, we are probably going to have a higher inflationary period for the next 1 or 2 years until we can transition at least some of that supply chain back to the States. It's going to be tough doing that as well.
Wow. Very interesting.
An interesting thing that happened yesterday too was China actually banned their employees from leaving China and going to the India factories to actually help kind of transition. I think the lower end 16 and 16 pluses are made in India. The Pros and Pro Maxes are still made in China. And so they wanted to shift that labor to India, and China said, no, we're not going to allow our Foxconn employees to go to India to train them. They're going to have to stay here. So we have no idea what that means for iPhone 17. Will it launch on time? Will it be delayed? Well, it's definitely going to be more expensive, but a lot of questions are up in the air.
Wow. Yeah, this is such an interesting topic, and we probably could all go and talk about it for hours, I'm sure. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jonathan. What is your tip for the shops that are going through this and dealing with this right now?
I think specifically for shops, your biggest advantage that you have, especially if you're a local, right, and you have like 1 store, 1, 2 stores in your little area, it's trust. Customers can trust you, and you can have a relationship with that particular customer where you can kind of sift through a lot of the noise. There's a lot of shops out there that are only offering cheap LCD screens. They're not educating their customer on what an OLED panel is or what the difference between a genuine OEM from Apple versus a knockoff LCD only is. And when you can have that direct conversation with your customer and have that level of trust, I see personally a lot of customers that have been burned from shops that didn't do that, and they've come to us, and after that level of trust is established, they pretty much don't go anywhere else because they know that they can have a direct communication with us where we're going to be honest and say, hey, this is not worth getting repaired, or hey, this is definitely worth being repaired, but you might need to spend a little bit more money getting a high quality part put on it so you get a warranty and it actually lasts. And so I would just tell shops, try to have as many of those relationships as you possibly can. To Tony's point, use social media. That's a great platform to do it at scale. It doesn't have to be you're directly texting every one of these customers, but just having a trustworthy relationship with customers where you're being honest and you're actually looking out for their interests rather than just trying to sell them something and move on to the next person.
Great tip. Another great tip. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Sounds like you do a lot of research on what's going on in the market. I love that. It's like, keep talking. Okay. All right, Sean. So go ahead and tell us, what is your tip? And if you want to make a comment about what we're talking about too.
Sure, absolutely. I think if we kind of talked a little bit about what everybody has said, I would boil it down to number one, don't panic. There is a lot of fear, there is uncertainty, but don't panic. Me with accessories, that definitely is going to have an impact. So I've got orders already that are being impacted by it. But all of us are entrepreneurs, and we're entrepreneurs here for a reason. And the independent store owners are entrepreneurs. Tap into that spirit and use your creativity and your ideas. And, let's look for the opportunities. And there may be opportunities and some spot buys. If you know for sure that there's a temper glass that you use over and over and over again, maybe now would be a good time to buy, more than your typical supply. I don't know that I would go absolutely crazy, but, maybe stock up a little bit. The other issues, just, keep doing what you're doing, add value to your customer. And a little bit what Jonathan was saying is ask questions. Maybe they do come in and, it seems pretty obvious that they need a screen replacement, but ask probing questions of, is this the phone that you want? Is this where you need to be after it's fixed? Would you like protective devices so that maybe you're not in this position again? I forget the exact statistics, but it's a very high number. I believe over 60%. After you break your phone once, you're 60% more likely to break it again within the next year. So perhaps a screen protection solution or a case may help. And sometimes I think some repair shop owners that I've talked to are like, Sean, that's counterproductive. I make my money on the repair, which you do, but when you gain the trust of that customer by outfitting them correctly, they're going to tell their sisters, aunts, brothers, and referrals are going to mean much, much more than that, possible one-time repeat screen replacement. So to boil it down, don't panic, look for the opportunities, and just build the rapport and build the trust with your customer. Add value.
Love it.
And a caveat on that, Sean, if I may add, I think I hear a lot of repair shops say the same thing. Oh, I'm not going to sell them a case or tempered glass. It's, it's my competition. Well, they're going to go buy one somewhere else. So just sell it to them while they're there. I mean, Amazon exists for a reason, right? So.
Yes. And I feel so happy that I'm in the statistic because I break my phone all the time. I have a broken, cracked screen protector right now. Which is terrible because I'm in the industry, but anywho, so okay, thank you so much, Sean. Joe, what about you? What's your tip? And if you want to make any other, look at you, see, time for your customers but no time for yourself. That's how it is.
Sure. So I think my tip for the audience would just be that no one is too small to be sourcing directly from the carriers. So we run auctions for AT&T and T-Mobile, and there are tens of thousands of devices available each week, but that doesn't mean you need to purchase tens of thousands of units, right? We have lot sizes that vary from 5 to 10 units all the way up to the hundreds and thousands. But I think I don't want anyone to feel like they are too small to participate if they do need to source devices. All you need is a reseller certificate, and all of that inventory, or the majority of that inventory that we see on the platform, is from US sellers. So there's no concerns around the tariffs immediately because most of it's coming from the DFW area, where it seems like every secondary market phone runs through Dallas. So yeah, I would encourage those, and because they're coming directly from the carriers, there's a ton of volume and it's across all models. So you're able to find things as old as iPhone 8 still out there, and as new as the most current generation, where they're getting buyer's remorse buyer's remorse returns. And then there's all the trade-ins and insurance product that comes through as well. So yeah, my tip would be, don't think that you're too small and overlook the large carrier auctions, because there are lot sizes of all varieties. So if you're just looking for a couple dozen devices, you could find that directly from an AT&T, T-Mobile, Samsung through the B-Stock platform. So we don't buy or sell any inventory. We're just basically like a business-to-business eBay. So when I look across the market, and just to address some of the comments on tariffs, we have a pretty good understanding of where prices are in the market, because we're running these large auctions for carriers every week. And we actually didn't see any major swings in price over these past couple of months. Q1 has been pretty standard in terms of depreciation, with monthly rates ranging between 2 to 4% on top iPhone models. And April thus far has been pretty flat week over week. So if anything, pricing is slightly higher than we would have expected, but we didn't see any panic in the market in terms of a drastic change in bidder or buyer behavior, and no massive swings in price week to week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay,
Nicole,
before we go on, yeah, go ahead. Go
could
ahead.
I ask
John.
you one question?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Would you say that the majority of B Stock's inventory crosses border lines at all? Like, does anything come from Canada? I know you mentioned Bell a little bit.
Yeah, we a majority of our sellers, like the source of the inventory, is mostly US. Like we're just bigger in the US. We have a marketplace for Bell up in Canada. A lot of it does cross the border going out. We do have some small marketplaces in Europe. Most of that will stay in Europe or make its way to Dubai or in Hong Kong. But yeah, majority of the inventory that the carriers are selling through the B Stock platform originate in the US. Some of the carriers have different requirements around, there has to be, they may not ship directly internationally. So most of the inventory that we see does have a first stop, at least in the US, but I think over half will be exported.
Gotcha.
Especially the lower grades. We see more often the grade A and B type of inventory stay domestic, and some of that like grade C or D, stuff that needs like heavy repair or salvage, that stuff is typically going abroad.
So in a scenario, Nicole, please tell me if I'm taking too much time, but in a scenario where if these tariffs do go out, let's say in 2 months, where phones in particular have a 25% or maybe a 50% tariff, I think it's a reasonable assumption, and you might agree, that it would just ultimately mean that the US market, at least for y'all's company and repair companies, is almost in a way protected, because now we have a higher margin that we can charge because you can't import devices elsewhere or pull, like essentially it's putting a bubble around the US economy for refurbishers and repair companies. Would you maybe agree with that?
I would agree, just in terms of, if I think about the highest used price, you think of new as the ceiling, right? It's not going to ever go above new. And if the ceiling is now a lot higher, I think used pricing will also benefit there. So yeah, I think the products that are already here and already working will increase in value if you compare to new, which inevitably with the tariffs will increase. So I'm with you.
Awesome insights. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. Wow, that's great info. Thank you so much. So I want to remind everyone that's watching, if you're watching the replay, if you're watching live, to sign up and compete. I'm going to throw up the schedule one more time here. We have some great competitions going on at the event. So one is League of Pros. If you are maybe not a repair technician, but you do apply protection at you work at a wireless shop and you're just applying the screen protection, right? They're doing a competition. They're giving away machines, some different prizes to the winner. So you can go online and actually sign up to compete for that. If you're a repair technician and you really want to take a shot at getting some big winnings, and I have to tell you, I keep saying this on every live, there is not a lot of competitors. These competitions maybe get 15 to 30 competitors, okay? So you have a real shot to win. It is not unrealistic for you to walk away and win, okay? So we have the micro soldering, the CGC micro soldering event, the LCD swap, and then CGC also has a screen refurbishing competition. So remember, the GRE competitions are on day 1, the CGC events are on day 2. So plan for both days and make sure you go and compete. There are some big prizes. If you win the CGC CPU event, again, which I think we're up to maybe 15 competitors that this is not, you're not competing against hundreds of people. You have a real chance to win. If you win that, you get a full paid trip to China. And not just to compete, they're actually going to take you on a tour of China and introduce you to warehouses and factories, and just, it's a technician's dream trip, okay? And it's totally paid for. They'll even help you with any of the issues of, understanding passports and your tickets and all of that kind of stuff, okay? And then the GRE micro soldering competition, all it is an HDMI port on a PS5. If you can solder an HDMI port on a PS5, you can compete in this competition and win $2,500 plus you get to keep a PS5. So plus we're going to have other giveaways that go to the winners and the runner-up. So make sure to sign up to compete. These competitions are very unique to our show, and they're a lot of fun to compete in. Yes, you can see other things at the show. I've had people say, but I really want to meet all the vendors. I don't want to be sitting down competing all day. No, that's not how it works. You just go for your time slot, compete, and you're free. You're free before and after your time slot. Your slot may be 20, 30 minutes, but you're free otherwise to enjoy the show and everything else that's going on. And before we get off of here, I just want to talk to you guys. So most of you have been to a GRE, right? And been to an expo. For a shop owner that's sitting in their shop right now and they're a little on the fence about if they should go or not, what kind of benefit do you think that they would receive going to an expo? Okay, so what is your point of view, the importance? For me, it's going to be networking. If you would have talked to me 6 years ago, you might not have known who I was. I started really putting an effort to go into just expos, anything I could do expo, and just talking to as many people as I possibly could. And that's where I got all of these different partnerships and all these people that I work with now, and my life is completely different. But it started by going to expos and just randomly talking to people. So I think that even though you're a shop owner, just go and talk to as many people as you can. Walk up and say, hey, you're here. Well, tell me about yourself. And, just make relationships. I think that can be a game changer. Even if you own a shop and you think that it can't be a game changer, I think it can be. So Tony, what do you think?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go.
So I do want to say things before I get to that subject, if you don't mind me.
No, go ahead.
There was a post listed on a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago, about the HDMI cable repair for a PS5 or an Xbox. A guy comes into the store. The sales guy tells him it's $100. The guy come back and he says the part is like $6. And there seems to be a post about it. I have two sides of the stories on this situation. One, I feel like, and no offense to the business owner, I feel like the business owner was not educated enough to explain to the customer why it is $100. So in my opinion, I think when you're telling someone a repair, I think you should be more transparent on why it is $100, and you understand that the HDMI cable piece probably is a few bucks. The customer felt like it was a shock to him because it looks like he had already done his homework on how much the HDMI piece cost. So he walked into the store and asked about the repair. There was a pause moment where the sales rep did not explain. It's like $100. It feels like there's in between the lines where take it or leave it. That's how it feels like. So the customer felt offended, and he said, this is absurd. The price is way too high. The piece is $6. The guy just didn't even explain to him. Wow. So I think education is very important for you to run a store. And we spoke about this multiple times, where a lot of store owners are technicians. So they like what they do, but they're not a salespeople. So a lot of them are, they know how to do micro solders, they know how to do repairs, but they are not a sales guys. So I would highly recommend every technician who started this business based on a hobby or a side gig or something you love doing, coming to expos will take you out of that bubble you're in, and we'll probably introduce you to a whole different world, to meet people who possibly were like you or was like you in the past, where they started as a technician, they started as a small bubble in their mom's basement or a side gig out of their backpack. We've all done that. We started our business out of my brother's trunk, going to buy My Touches 3GSs out of Craigslist back in 2010. So every single business, every single retail store had started somewhere, from the bottom. It is okay to get out of your bubble, go to these expos, meet people who are like you 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? And they've went through the transition of educating themselves, connecting with multiple people, outsourcing things, possibly, micro solders and stuff like that. It is okay to get out of your shell, come out of the bubble. And I can guarantee you at these expos for $50, $50, interest fee, it's pretty much the cheapest that I've seen in any of the expos that exist out there. And it being in Florida this year, it's Miami. Come enjoy the weather and take a 2-day vacation. That probably wouldn't even cost you $1,000. Tickets or gas or income or entrance or hotels. Plus food. It will not cost you $1,000. I can guarantee you that. You probably would pay that at Disney for 2 tickets.
Yep.
So come down, enjoy it. Try it out. I think part of the reason, I don't know specifically, but if I was at the GRE or part of the owners at GRE, I would switch places like they're doing to not give you an excuse where it says, oh, it's always in Vegas. I don't like gambling. They're switching places for you. So if you didn't been to the last 4 or 5, here's Miami. You never know when the next time it will be. It'll probably be New York. So take advantage of visiting a city and take advantage on learning from individuals that been there, done that, and could save you 10 years worth of building your empire. Maybe you can build it in a year.
Right. And the trip is a write-off. So why not? I mean, Tony, we've talked about this with you because, you do sit on the board and you have meetings with us and stuff. We want to go different places. We want shops to be able to get out and enjoy themselves while they're going and learning more about their industry. And why not go to different cities? So then technicians can come enjoy a different place.
Tax write-off, guys. A lot of you guys don't even know that. And we had a couple of Zoom calls with Josh Moulton, and to come to realize that I've had probably 10 or 15 phone calls after that video where people didn't even know it was tax write-off. So educate yourself, get the right CPA, get the right bookkeeper. You can make money from spending money. Let's put it this way. You can make money from spending money. So
and shameless plug here. If you're an RFA member, you get a free ticket. But also, if you don't know about bookkeeping and you didn't know the trips were a write-off, then you need to join the RFA because I'm doing a whole series on bookkeeping. Thanks, Tony. So I actually, my first business was a bookkeeping business when I was 18. My mentor for 2 years prior to that was a CPA, and she owned a firm. And so I know a lot about bookkeeping. And so I'm actually doing a whole series after the GRE. It would be many, many weeks long about using QuickBooks online, how to manage, what to manage. It's going to be awesome. So if bookkeeping is one of the things you're struggling with, even if it's just finding someone and trusting them and how to find them, because that can be a big problem, sign up for the RFA because I'll be covering all of that. Okay. And I've done IRS audits. I've sat with business owners while they're being audited. I've sat there. I've gone through trash bags of receipts with owners that are just like, I don't have to organize it. Yes, you do. So join the RFA.
The money is resolved if it's the time. It's May. I mean, it's not tax season or Christmas or anything like that. I believe that, I've seen people who close their stores over a weekend for a baby shower or their daughter's birthday. So come on,
Come on, guys. We can do this. You can do this. It's for your business. Okay. All right. Jonathan, go ahead. And I think I was talking about what was your favorite thing about an expo? Yes. Why would a shop owner want to go? I got sidetracked there.
I've been to a lot of expos, and I have a unique perspective because I don't really go to sell something, right? Like I'm not a vendor there. I'm not participating as like selling parts or phones or whatever. And I can honestly say, like truly transparent, I'm not being paid to say this, Gadget Repair Expo is the only one that I've been to that's like niche for repair shops specifically. All the other expos, it's like we're kind of thrown on just to get us to go there. And the value that you get here, I mean, just look at the competitions, like, not calling names at the other expos, but there's no like micro soldering competition at a lot of these other expos that are going on, and definitely not to this level. So you will get a lot of value as a repair shop. And also there's a ton, like the one point that hasn't been made, I feel like that Florida is like the epicenter of our industry. Dallas, Texas, and Florida, but mainly Florida. U-Brake, CPR, all these companies came out of Southeast, especially Florida. So you're going to have a ton of OGs that will be there that you can learn from, ask questions, network with, and make connections that might turn a less than $1,000 investment to, who knows, that your next store or expanding your company.
Oh my gosh, Jonathan, I'm going to add to what you said, and I will say it abruptly. The reason the GRE was even formed was because we are not your sprinkle tickets inside of your expo. We are not your extra bodies to make it look like your expo is bigger. We have our own industry, and we need an expo for us. And that's me saying that. So we needed an expo that was focused on the repair industry and just laser focused on the shops. And that's exactly what this is. And, you can come to an expo as a shop owner like Jonathan, who has nothing to sell to you. He's not doing anything like that, and walk away with networking that can change your life. Like you said, another shop could be, you're going to meet somebody who's opening more shops there. I mean, it can just be endless what can happen. And so this expo is laser focused on you. Okay. So thank you for that. That was a great
and if I could, I had to respond to Tony's point about the HDMI port.
Go ahead.
If you have a house, which I'm sure 90% of these shop owners live in a home, they probably, have a mortgage or whatever, try calling an HVAC technician to come out and replace a capacitor for less than $250, right? That capacitor is $10 or $15. It can be ordered online. There's tons of tools to show you how to do it. You don't even need a license technically to do that. But yet there's not one company that will probably do it in your area for less than $200. And if you're in a big city, it might be like $500.
Jonathan, the problem is, did you see that video? He did not explain to the customer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I did not like what the customer said about, I'll take you out and put an ice cream business, whatever. The customer was at fault, 100%. But
sure.
The owner of the business had if I would have to grade him on customer service, 0.
It was probably 0.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. But I think where I was going to go with that is that you've got to explain why. The value that technician's providing when you come out is that if you don't come out and pay that $250, your house doesn't cool. If you don't pay the $150 or $120 or $100, whatever it is, to get your HDMI port replaced, your kids can't play the game. And furthermore, it's the time of a technician that I have to pay. Their insurance and the rent for the building and everything else that I'm providing to that person to spend an hour to repair it. So if you would like, and we have this conversation regularly, we're not mean about it, but it's like, if you watch the DIY video on YouTube and you think you're competent enough to go do it, well, then you're welcome to go do it.
Do we both agree that the customer is going to buy the HDMI cable and fuck up his son's Xbox?
100%. Yeah, 100%. He's going to mess it up. Yeah,
that's what's going to happen, So I think the part of the answer where the sales rep knew that's what's going to happen, but you do your diligence. You just explain to him that this is why, like you explained, and leave it at that. But your duty as a retail storefront, I think, is to explain. You have a 100%. Storefront, you have to respect customers' point of view, and not everybody is a doctor, not everybody is a microsolder. I am not a microsolder, so I would like to get a proper explanation from any person who I'm spending my money with. 100%. I had a situation yesterday where I went to the USPS and I had to drop off something and fill up a form. The employee was not having it. He threw the paper and he was like, "Figure it out." And I went off. Like I created a scene. I said, I always been praying to be in these kind of situations where like I'm the nicest guy ever, but I would love to be in a situation like this. And God gave me that yesterday where the sales rep did not want to work. I said, if you're not in the mood to work, get the fuck out of the store. Get the fuck out of the USB. I got his manager. I was caring yesterday.
You were caring.
And I felt insulted, and I felt like that's his job, is to explain to me what needs to go on that paper, and he wasn't in the mood to work, and I gave it to him. Yesterday.
Next live, we need to change your name to Karen Baker. Karen Baker. I think it's got to be. And I 100% agree. I was just trying to make the point that I think a lot of it's perception. The customers see a fast forwarded and 4x speed repair video on how something's done, and they make it look so easy. They cut out half the steps. And to Tony's point, you got to have that conversation with the customer because it's setting an expectation. And to my earlier point, my number one tip, once you have that relationship with a customer, they don't bitch and moan anymore. They're always going to be cheap and they're going to go to the cheapest guy, or you're going to actually convert a customer that trusts you and actually understands the process.
So accurate. I love this. This is great conversation. This is awesome. Okay, Sean, what about you? What is your take on a shop going to an expo? I know you guys go to all the expos.
We do. We go to a lot of expos, and specifically for GRE, above and beyond the obvious of maybe making new connections with a different vendor, but being surrounded by people that are like-minded. They have intimate information and knowledge of the struggles that you're going through in the repair world. So you may just come across a person that you could talk about an issue that you're having, and they could very simply tell you, oh, I had that too. This is how we resolved it, and that could work for you. But something that, above and beyond all of that, the all-star lineup of the panel of speakers, you are going to get your value from the tips and tricks that the years of knowledge and expertise that the panel of speakers is going to share. It'll be worth every penny to check those out. And your value definitely is going to be in that alone.
Definitely, Sean, because the thing about the GRE, one of our rules is I speak to every speaker, they have to go through a process to apply to speak, right? And the rule is you can't just come and promote a product. You have got to be giving true value. We evaluate their topic. It's not that it's just like, hey, I want to speak. Oh, okay, here you go. Here's the stage. It's like, what are you going to talk about? I need to hear about it. And how is this actually going to help the shop owner? So when you're coming to the expo, bring a notepad or bring something that you can take notes with. Like I'm a big, I like to play voice recording on my notes. So then I just kind of hold the phone and it's like getting the words into a notepad. So everybody's got their own way of taking notes, but be ready to take a lot of notes. Tony is after Jeremy. So he's technically our first speaking session. So be ready because Tony comes with the energy. And he's definitely.
I highly recommend recording. Actually, I've done that in the last 2 expos. I've recorded I had a phone stand, and I posted a phone with 1 terabyte, and I recorded the whole entire expo. And I went home and I started taking notes, and I started. I have a bad names memory, so I remember faces. So I started, going back through my videos, and I remembered every single person's face, and I got every card I take, I put it on the recording camera, and that's how I was able to recap the whole entire 2 days shows and remember everything. Awesome. That's the best way I've done it. Grab a 1 terabyte phone with you and just record it.
That's awesome. That's a great tip too. Yeah. There's a lot going on. So thank you, Sean. And Joe, last but not least, before we get off of here, what do you think about expos for shop owners?
Yeah, I think it's the same advice that Sean was just giving around sort of validating your experience, right? I think going through something of I'm dealing with X, Y, or Z. Are you also dealing with that? How have you dealt with that before? Are you also seeing this trend in the market? And I think just validating your experience with others in the industry is super powerful. And to Sean's point, there may be something where it's, oh, I solved that very easily doing this. Or maybe, no, I actually don't see that. I see something else. So I think it's very valuable to be talking with people in the industry and sort of validating those market and just sort of broader global insights and experiences.
Yes, so true. Thank you. Before we go, we do have a comment. So Tania, I hope I'm saying that right. Tania Michelle, do you think adding software repair would be a great advantage to add in comparison to other shops in your area? I think she's talking computers. Jonathan, I know you're asking a little bit of clarity. I think you mean fixing software issues, like reboots or, restores, or I don't know that you mean phones getting hacked or something like that, because I don't think that that's
a lot of people, I think,
Fix me
talking
if I'm
about
wrong.
software repairs, or software repairs is very famous internationally, South America or the Middle East, possibly.
Could be
Uh,
international.
if that's what they're talking about, which means unlocking devices and software updates. And if that's the thing what they're talking about, I don't think, I don't know if that explains the answer. Yes, to which part? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So if it is the unlocking business, in my opinion, it is not worth it in the US to invest money or time or even those unlocking boxes that they used to have it back in the days, like the NS Pros or
Yeah.
Z3X or something like that. I think that's what they were called. It is not, in my opinion. By the time you're investing into a employee's hourly rate, 15 to 20 bucks, and paying your tokens or unlocks money for these unlocks, you're pretty much at 25 to 30 bucks. Outsource it, it probably would cost you 10 to 20
Outsourcing.
bucks at the moment. Yeah.
You know,
You're less
Tony, I do want to add something, a question, and Jonathan, I want to ask you too. So, Tony, I actually had this conversation last week, and it was a pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say heated, but it was a very passionate conversation. It was someone who was looking to enter the industry, and they were looking at our program. And because we did not teach you how to use those boxes and those softwares, they refused to take our course because they said, well, I need to know how to do that. And I said, well, you don't really, you can outsource it.
The right answer to that,
the
right answer to that is unlocking equal gray area. It is
gray area. Yeah, that's what I refer to it as. I say it's a gray area. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a gray area. I refuse to discuss anything about it in any of the expos. I do recommend to people to look into it, and the people that will teach you about unlocks are in the gray area, and they do understand. None of them have their real names on Facebook. None of them have their real names on WhatsApp, due to the fact that it is a gray area. Whatever is out there and allows you to do it. But for an official company like the Cellbotic or Tony Baker or anybody like that does not talk about it or discuss it, it is because it's a gray area. Today you're able to buy phones back. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow if you're actually. That's why there's the repair.org or whatever. Like, they're fighting for things that you have the rights to. Back in 2012, Barack Obama, the president of the US, allowed to say that every device that you purchase is owned by you. That was the plan for the unlocking world. But past that point, there was installment plans, and so if you purchase a device and you don't pay the bill, which are two separate things, they will block your device. So at that moment we thought it was, you buy it, you own it. No, you don't. You buy a car right now and you don't own it if it's an electric car or whatever. So it's crazy how and in Florida, I don't know if you guys have seen this, DeSantis, he was talking about property taxes. So let's say I bought a house, I paid it in full. Why do I got to pay property taxes every single year? And if I don't pay my property taxes every single year, they put a lien on my house, even though it is a fully paid house. So do we really own these devices? Do we really can unlock them? So it is a gray area. And I am with you, Nicole, on not offering that service. And I don't recommend it for you to offer it because it is a gray area. It is good to have. You can make a few $1,000s extra a month, but it's knowledge.
She actually clarified. So she said she was talking about software for computer repair. I would say yes. And Tania, if you really want to talk to somebody who knows about this, call into Cellbotics and speak with Michelle Cox. Michelle, I'm telling you, she's our trainer for computer repair, but she is actively doing this all around Atlanta, and she's making very good money doing it, fixing software as she's on computers. So the woman is just amazing, the deals that she gets and the business that she gets and the money that she's making. And she is a mobile computer repair. I mean, she had a location before. She had to work for CompuCom for a very long time. Call her. She would love to talk to you. She'll just talk to you. So you can call into the Cellbotics number. I'll actually drop it in here, and you can just talk to Michelle, and she'll definitely, yes, you should be working on computer stuff. Now, I think Jonathan, in your shops, you work on computers. Tony, do you work on computers in your shop? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Repairs.
Jonathan?
Software is very rare, but repairs. Yes.
Okay.
And the
Jonathan,
reason
what about you?
why it's pretty much the same with us, Tanya, is like in reality with software, we stay away from that. Like we offer something called tech help, which a customer can pay for. That's like, hey, you come in, you need us to like, you're old and you need us to set up your email, or like you're having a particular bug or something on your phone. But with the exception of those weird scenarios, which is not that often, we try to stay away from software as a solution services, because quite frankly, the alternative is just wiping the device and moving on. Right. So like even if a customer has important pictures on their computer, but it has some bug on it, just move the photos to a flash drive and wipe the device. So 90% of our software fixes are just software reinstallations. And as a business, to me, that's really the only scalable way you can do that if you have a lot of employees. As for the unlocking conversation, I would agree 1000%. We stopped offering that a long time ago. It's not really a viable, offering anymore, in my personal opinion. And if it ever comes back and bites you in the butt, like let's say you unlock a customer's device, but then somehow it gets reversed, well, that makes you look bad as a company. So let someone else, let the bottom feeders eat that money. There's plenty of other money to be made in legitimate sectors in this industry.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, Sean, I don't want to assume you don't have any input on these topics, because I see you moving your head. So
I was just going to ask, I don't know if there's a way on your platform that maybe you could take a poll and see how many repair shops are also crossing over into the IT services world. And I think depending on that answer, it would, if a majority is no, that probably means that there is a segment that's underserved and there could be an opportunity. If the majority is yes, I would imagine that they are offering some sort of solution in that area, but could be an opportunity to enhance and or make that process easier.
gosh, I wish I could take a live poll right now. I can send a survey out though. That's great. Okay. Well, this has been a very good call. I feel like we could have kept going. You guys have been awesome. You all have such great information. Geez. So if you're watching this recording or you're watching it live, make sure you come to the expo, meet all these amazing people right here, ask all the questions in person, and don't forget to sign up to compete. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you next week on another live. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.